Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the recap of Stage 7 of the Giro d'Italia. GC action. We got even smaller gaps than the TT, but we got some GC action today. Let's go. Then you put the call in. No breakaway win today. None of that BS. This episode is brought to you by Join Cycling. A word on the LRCP group, which is gaining steam as we speak. In a second. The profile, though, Benji, actually quite a hard stage with a lot of accumulated climbing. They open with an 8K 6% climb. Really nice for break formation. We had a delightful little battle. There's also a lot of pinches, about 1,500 meters, 8%, before a really long 5-degree wet descent of like 35 kilometers. Then they do a 4.6K 9.2% climb, another descent, and then a long climb of moderate gradient, 21Ks at 4% with some steeper sections than that, another step descent, and then they go up to Tagliacozzo. The first part is like a welter climb where they're on a big road, 4%, then they turn left. It reminds me of Fedaya actually a little bit, just not as hard. And then the last 2.6Ks is 9.1%, but the last K eases off. So the last K averages 7.6%, but then I test last 400 meters, 300 meters is like 6%. Or less to me. So draft still matters at the end. Any news from yesterday, Benji?
There was some news from yesterday. We knew that Jai Hindley crashed out yesterday, a major part of the team of Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, so a valuable rider in the mountains. He ended up having a concussion and a fracture of the L3 vertebrae, so let's hope he recovers quickly. I'm not an expert in vertebrae. You are an expert in vertebrae. Do you know what an L3 is, my friend?
It's like lower back. I think.
Okay.
I fractured my T12, and I got my T12 to L2 is fixated with titanium rods and screws.
Question.
But his wasn't.
Really stupid question, perhaps, but if you have titanium in your body and you go through a scanner at the airport,
it doesn't register.
Why does it not ping?
It doesn't ping, but as I'm a registered lethal weapon, I have to be checked anyway.
Oh my god. Anyway, let's get to the next step.
That's a dad joke.
That was horrible. Fortunato actually continued the stage after the crash as well. Someone pointed out to me in an Instagram DM, and I checked the footage that he ended up finishing the stage with a broken helmet. The little boa, the round thing that you tighten your helmet with at the back of his helmet was damaged, which I don't like seeing riders that crash finishing a stage with a broken helmet, because that means they probably fell on their head. I assume that he was checked for a concussion, but in an ideal world, he gets a new helmet from the team, that's for sure. We also had the DNF from Bram Welton, who is the lead out that brought Van Uden to the victory the other day. So that's something we have to remember for upcoming sprint stages. Some more DNSs, but I won't go through everyone because they aren't the most valuable riders to the race, I'll be honest. The stage started today. Oh, by the way, am I supposed to do like a fake apology against the people that were desperately trying to cancel me yesterday after I said that gnocchi was disgusting? I'm sorry. I won't do an apology here. Gnocchi is a waste of a good potato. That's my final word on it. Let's talk about the stage now. Rocco Rasso, first climb of the day. Breakaway formation starts. What do we see on screen?
We see the expected people trying to get in the break. Paul Dublé was jumping, looked very, very strong. Fortunato wants to be in for KOM points. We've got Lame Riser for Picnic Post-Tonel. He's in really good shape. If you watch Romandy, looks strong. And then Tarozzi or Sambardiani guys. Just the usual Tonelli from Polti. The usual suspects, plus Jay Vine. Jay Vine was wanting to get into this breakaway. And UAE, I thought, okay, UAE don't want Jay Vine in the breakaway. They were closing him. They're reacting on him. And I was looking, okay, are they reacting on bigger groups or UAE? And then we could actually see a bigger group would go with the Picnics, with these sort of guys. With De Bont was pulling Nicolas Prudhomme across. Bora weren't reacting. But UAE go in, they reacted on Vine. And Vine, I'm like, okay, he's on close on GC.
Yeah.
He can TT and he can climb. In Romandy, he could do both. But is 3-week consistency question mark. I can sort of understand you don't want to control a break all day with Jay Vine, and it becomes a Ben O'Connor situation. Very, very annoying. Micah jumps in a break. It's the perfect break. It's got the two Italian Pro Conti teams in it. It's got Picnic. It's got Astana in it with Scaroni or somebody. And they close Micah, Red Bull Bora. I'm like, the fuck are you scared of Micah for? Yeah, I was surprised by that.
I get that, but on the other hand, if Micah's in the breakaway, it's something you have to maybe worry about throughout the stage. And if you can easily close him with a rider that does not necessarily matter too much here, which is a Nico then spending his energy on the first climb, then I don't hate closing Micah just to not have to think about, is UAE trying to plan something crazy on today's stage? That's the only thing I can see here. I also agree that it's maybe an overreaction, but at the end of the day, I'm not too bothered by it. But that closing by Nico Dens of that group that was ahead actually takes away all the breakaway riders again back into the peloton. And Fortunato was one of the riders that was in that group, and he obviously wants the KOM points. He's been fighting for it all week. So an Astana rider goes to the front, Fortunato in the wheel, and we see Fortunato take the KOM points on the Roccaraso climb. And then the second breakaway formation starts after the top of that climb. And that's where Vine goes again. And multiple riders jump towards him, the likes of Nicolas Prodom. I always want to say Prodom, but that's the guy that runs ASO, so not the same person, if you ever doubted it. Gianmarco Garofoli of Quickstep, Paul Double, or as you say, my friend, Doublé, your pick for the stage, going in the breakaway as well on a minute 23 in GC. Valuable. Gijs Leemreizen for Picnic Postinel, Tonelli, Tarozzi, and Scaroni. So a relatively strong group. And then we see Red Bull Bora still pacing behind, because they don't want Jay Vine up there. And then, to me, the camera went away, went back to the breakaway, and Vine was gone. Did he wait for the peloton, in so doing, allowing the breakaway to go, or how did that switcheroo go?
Vine did the honourable thing where he saw the break was riding, and he stopped and pulled out before they caught that break. So, yeah, he let that break go, and then, yeah, the breakaway formed. It's 7 guys. It's not 15, but it's strong. There's no tug buddies in there, but it's a good break. Prodom in the Tour of the Alps was stomping on these sort of stages, very similar stages, by the way. Same as Paul Doublé. He was, I don't know, top 10 on GC for most of that race. Tonelli's good. Scaroni, we all know. Garofoli's been pretty good too for Quickstep. 4 Italians, 6 motivated riders, all who can pull and climb and etc. Yeah.
6 motivated riders. Who's the 7th one that is not motivated? Did you miscount?
Garoni's like semi-motivated, I think.
Anyway,
I think if you've been watching Dunkirk, which obviously there's been like crazy good racing.
Yep.
Alberto Bettiol, basically every day of Dunkirk, he goes to the last hill of the day in the last 5Ks, and he does a 3-minute maximum effort, all out with the whole peloton in his wheel, and just splits the whole peloton. Completely flicks all of Astana's sprinters because he's proving a point. Because you know who might have come around? Pedersen, when Zambanini nearly beat him on that sort of stage, Bettiol, and that was the same day. And I'm like, he got flicked from the Giro. I feel like he would have been a good fit actually for them instead of, because Scaroni's not in his shape that he was before because he was injured.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a tangent. It's just funny because even outside of the Giro, there's Italians wanting to be in the Giro who are racing a different way. Bora keep the gap tight, Benji. They keep it at 2:30. Why do you think they did that?
Like, at that point, I was thinking, okay, Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe wants to still go for the stage here. That's the first thing that comes to mind. If they're trying to keep it at 2 minutes 30, Dens is pacing in the peloton, Moscon is doing some pacing as well, the combination of the two in the early parts of this stage. We're talking about the Monte Urano, the smaller second climb of the day, where Paul Double ends up taking KOM points in that group in the breakaway ahead, but Red Bull pacing to me at that point seems to be okay. We're going for the stage. But you never know, because like the day before yesterday, Jai Hindley crashed out. So that's a rider they don't have in the team, which is the reason that I started doubting yesterday evening about the fact that would they control the stage in the first place? Because if Hindley would have been here, I think without a doubt they go for the stage 100%. But that's not really what's happening here, because on the next climb, the Vado della Forcella, we see Nico Den still pacing, and still pacing, and still pacing. And the dynamic of this stage with the breakaway and the peloton was that on the climbs, the breakaway took a lot of time because Nico Dens can't climb as fast as Paul Double and so forth in the breakaway. Spoilers, that's a fact. And in the descents and in the valleys, the breakaway got a little bit less time on the peloton, where the Denses of the world have a bit of a resurgence, a revival. And that's what was happening. But to me, it seemed like by the top of that big climb, we're talking 19 kilometers at like 3.5%, middle of the stage. At the top of that climb, the gap was 3 minutes 35. And it didn't seem like Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe was as eager to catch the breakaway as they were a climb earlier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because we say they kept it tight, but also Olav Koy and the sprinters were in the peloton until almost the last climb. So were they really riding that hard? They certainly, to me, it looked like maybe a hindsight analysis. They wanted to keep the stage win in play, and then Roglič was like, I'm not feeling it. They did just do a 40-minute cold, wet descent, and he said, knock it off. But then they've kept it tight. Another team takes over, and actually little Trek begin pacing. And I understand it. Like, Ciccone has won these sort of finishes against Roglič and Ayuso, or their level. I would say Ciccone could have won today. Vacek certainly from the break could have won. And they so, but yeah, Ciccone he also deserves a shot. He's been working his ass off all this week, so I can understand it. But before we get to maybe that middle phase or the next phase of the race, word and our show partner Join Cycling, the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast group, we're on 182 members. We're killing it. The group has grown 182 members. I need that over 200 by the time this podcast is finished.
We want more.
We want more. We have an irrepressible desire for power, and that means by the time you finish listening to this podcast, we need that to be over 200 members. And how's your training going, Benji? Because you'll be able to see Benji's training if you're in the group, the RCP group, which Benji and I are in. You can see our training and easily and see how many Ks we're doing per week and see how you stack up.
I've actually been combining running and cycling for the last 3 weeks because I've been traveling a lot, and I've found running quite fun. But today I jumped back on my indoor trainer and I did a bit of a Zwift race. And the thing with Zwift race is that my Joy Cycling app is like, okay, Benji, do like a bit of an endurance ride today. And I'm like, I'll do that tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll do the endurance ride. Today I did the Zwift race, and now Join Cycling is angry at me because it's saying I did a bit too much today, which, to be fair, I went a bit deeper than the planned endurance ride. So that's something, but at the end of the day, it now adapts my training for the rest of the week. And that's the beauty of the Join Cycling app, that it adapts according to what I'm doing. And yes, I may or may not have betrayed it by applying a Zwift race in this, but at the end of the day, my Join Cycling schedule for the rest of the week is now adapted accordingly.
So go and check it out, the LRCP group. If you're on Join, if you're not on Join, you can get 30 days free trial going through our link down below. No credit card required. So it's, no strings attached. Thanks to Join Cycling for supporting the show and our Giro coverage. Okay, Trek start pacing. There's a crash by a double French crash, Benji. Romain Bardet and David Gaudu. I don't know if rain jackets were involved. I seem to recall, was there a Gaudu rain jacket crash a few years ago on a climb?
I don't know, but when I saw this crash, the Bardet Gaudu crash, I was shouting merde in pure French when I saw that, because like Gaudu crashing, fair, but the thing about Bardet is that I don't mean that I care less about Gaudu I care less about Gaudu crashing for the fact that it's Bardet's last Grand Tour. I've seen his entire career from start to finish, and to see him crash like that in a Grand Tour and it actually has consequences for the rest of the stage, that's devastating to see, because Romain Bardet is not just a rider that I appreciate on the bike. He's also done stuff off the bike, when Alaphilippe crashed in that Liège-Bastogne-Liège very hard in, was it 2020 or something? Bardet was the man that jumped into the ditch that threw his entire race away to check up on Alaphilippe, and stuff like that. That makes a rider more than just a rider for me. That makes it an idol that I do appreciate, that I love watching on TV, that I love supporting. And to see Bardet crash like that, I was a bit sad. I won't lie. Sorry, Gaudu.
Yeah, and it puts Picnic in a tough spot, because he got dropped today, and he's not. If they kick it off on the gravel stage this weekend, he's going to have big trouble, because he got with his probably soreness and injuries. Gaudu, I mean, frankly, I was like, why are you bringing him back to the peloton? He shouldn't be going for GC anyway. He loses a bucket load of time at this finish, so just go in the break. Just go in the break. Just stop. Yep. Anyway, onto the climb. Mechanical Visconi in the breakaway. The breakaway is not going to go anywhere. It gets caught when most of it gets caught when Ineos start pacing at the bottom of Tagliacozzo. It's a climb in two parts. First part is big ring, big road, draft heavy. You want to be in a good pocket. You want to be in good position, maybe not too near the front, but not right at the back where you're getting the elastic effect around corners. And we see Tarling pacing, doing a very, very good job putting Eganito in position, that new Colombian national champs jersey, which is beautiful actually. And we're thinking, well, Ineos, who do you think you are? You have chosen to battle with Roglič on a 5-minute steep finish, or Ayuso or Ciccone. And so Ineos and Bernal very confident. Love to see it. And tempo stops. Bahrain start pacing, Benji. Is it Eulalio was the one who really put the gas on?
Yes, Eulalio was the one that started hammering it. And we saw people properly drop when that tempo was on. But it's interesting because we've now had a stage where going into it, it's a Primoz Roglič stage. We see Del Bora Hansgrohe controlling the first half of the stage. Then other teams start taking over when they don't anymore, which is Little Trek, which is Bahrain, and Ineos as well at the start of the climb. We're looking at all those things happening. I'm thinking, okay, if Roglič doesn't feel bad, then all these teams are doing the work for him. But I was also not necessarily hating these teams doing so, because if you're Bahrain victorious, at the end of the day, are you really fighting for the victory in this Giro? Not really. You're fighting for a podium, top 5, top 10 position for Caruso if you're Patrick. Yes. And so
he's looking good.
The goal is not to... we'll get to it.
He's looking sharp.
Like, I don't necessarily hate a team then pacing. In doing so, perhaps putting pressure on someone that is also fighting for top 10, also fighting for top 5, etc. So I don't mind it. Anyway, the tempo from Bahrain kept going. With about 3 kilometers to go, that's where the steep segment starts, right? Are we talking 2.6 kilometers at 9-ish%?
Yeah, but the first 500 meters is very steep. So if you're approaching in good position with the entry, which is what Bernal did with Castroviejo, putting him in good position, then or Rivera, then you can save a lot rather than having to sprint up from the back. And that's, we basically saw that huge fight for position. And then, the pace was kind of stalled. Don't know who was pacing.
Yeah. Well, Little Trek at the start of that steep
Trek
sector.
with Verona. Trek with Verona was pacing, but he's like a bigger guy. That's not really dropping anybody. And then...
It felt like Micah took over and then the tempo stalled when Micah took over. Or is that just...
No. Micah, this is how Micah pulls. First 30 seconds, really hard to like shake you out. And then he stalled completely and stopped. Because then McNulty's not going to pull. Vine wasn't there. Del Toro and Ayuso are riding for the GC. And it like stretched and then stopped. And we basically have every GC guy still there. Pidcock was struggling. You could see a little bit. And then it was Ciccone who jumped first to the GC guys. Vacek was still there. I mean, in the end, it wasn't very smart from Ciccone, to be honest, because he has the guy in the virtual pink jersey who also needs to hang on and can sprint. But more importantly, it's not up to him. They should drop Vacek first. He can just sit in the wheels and then punch away in the last 500 meters. He doesn't need to go this far. He's explosive.
So what you're saying is that Ciccone's start-stop attacks from the front of the group, in doing so triggering others to follow, hurts Vacek, and instead they should have gone for the approach of people have to attack Vacek, and then Ciccone should react to those riders.
Yeah, it hurts Ciccone more. Like, Ciccone is the realistic guy to actually win the stage. Mm-hmm. It hurts him more. He doesn't need to open it. Like,
it hurts both more.
Yeah, it hurts both of them. Just sit and then, do what Ayuso eventually did. So Ciccone went. He stopped. He went again from the front. Bernal's closing. I'm like, Egan, this is not your job. Let UAE do it. Let Roglič or Bora do it. But Bernal's closing Ciccone, closing him. I thought he was suffering. Then Bernal hits them. Like 600, 700 to go. Bernal attacks. From Arizona started pacing. Really good work from Ineos today. And I was like, holy shit. It wasn't a meme attack. He literally splits, and I immediately was like, Roglič not there. I see one Bora jersey, Pellizzari, and I'm looking for number 1. Is he number 1?
I would hope so.
He's number 1. Who won the Giro last year?
the winner of the Giro in
Pogačar, but he's not here.
Yes.
So Roglic, I was looking for number one. He wasn't there. And then I was like, Ayuso's just following wheels. He and Del Toro, they're just following wheels. Follow Bernal, follow Ciccone. If Ayuso looks behind and he doesn't see Roglic on his wheel, he's gonna lift off. And that's exactly what happens. Great race awareness from Ayuso. You can see him look behind, sees Roglic isn't on his wheel, and he barges Tiberi out of the way to basically get free air to attack. He goes far though, 500 to go, I think. Full attack. Roglic was like suffering, I think, because it wasn't just that he was boxed in.
Yeah.
No way that it was just that he was just boxed in. He couldn't respond. And Ayuso, great awareness, goes clear and wins this stage, and he takes a little bit of time. Del Toro finishes second. He waits on Bernal and uses up him and Ciccone, and then sprints Bernal for second. Roglic teleports back to those guys, finishes fourth, but no bonies. So Ayuso takes 14 seconds on Roglic, Ciccone 5th, Tiberi 6th, Ciccone 5th, Tiberi 6th, Caruso 7th, very nice. Carapaz 8th, Max Poole 9th, Stora 10th. They're on 8 seconds with Simon Phillip at the end of that group. Then Derek G. Rubio 11 seconds, Adam Yates on 14 with Harper and Pellizzari and Aronsman. To me, that's all the GC contenders, really. It ends at Aronsman.
Yeah, I would say my initial reaction to the stage is Juan Ayuso, good to see that he's on level. Good to see that he's attacking away from these riders, that he wins this stage, because that means he's at least co-leader for this Giro, co-favorite for this Giro with Primoz Roglic, I would say. But then again, first mountain stage only. We've only got one mountaintop finish in these first 2 weeks, so it's the only thing we have to go off, really. And to then see Primoz Roglic get gapped on what is a Primoz Roglic stage, it is delusional to think that he's pretending and that he's on purpose not overextending, stuff like that. If he's on level, he will 100% follow Juan Ayuso here, or he will 100% fight for the stage victory on a stage like this. At the end of the day, it's important to say that losing this time for Roglic is no disaster. So like he's out of it for the Giro or anything, but it's a little bit of a crack in the armor, and this crack might not mean anything by the time week 3 hits. But today, not the best day for Roglic, that's for sure. And at the end of the day, a great day for UAE. Not just Ayuso winning, also Del Toro, both get bonus seconds. That matters. And just in general, they looked like they were more of a bit of a team in the final, with Micah pacing, with McNulty trying to close down Ciccone by pacing there. Bernal ended up doing the actual closing, but it looked like Micah and McNulty are definitely domestiques. Vine dropped in the final kilometer and a half, or am I wrong?
Yeah, Vine's gone. Vine wasn't there for the... Yeah, he's done the smart thing. He lost 14 minutes today because he's like, fuck Bora, let me in the break. Vine, as I'm telling you, Vine wants to go on the break tomorrow, so he's like, I'll lose 14 minutes.
Fair.
Godou, he's on 30, still 2 minutes.
At the end of the day,
40.
People might not be super scared yet tomorrow from Godou, but at the end of the day, if you're 10 minutes behind, it's much more likely that the breakaway with you in it makes it. So I agree that Godou is not the smartest by being so close in GC at this point. But I'm happy I saw GC action. I was begging. I was on my knees for the stage to be a GC favorites fighting it out. But at the end of the day, it's Roglic that jumps into the Maglia Rosa, which he probably won't like too much, but he's got an opportunity tomorrow to give it away because a breakaway stage is coming.
Yeah, so, I mean, probably the worst case is losing time and then getting pink back, but indeed, Roglic is now in the GC lead, 4 seconds ahead of Juan Ayuso. He is 9 seconds ahead of Del Toro, so UAE have 3 guys in the top 7 and 2 on the podium right now. That's a problem. Like, if Danny Martinez isn't good, I mean, Pellizzari's so good, he's so good, but UAE guys could be a problem because also Del Toro's big. Like, he can ride a valley. It's not like some small climber who, if he gets in a valley, will just perish. Like, he can ride a valley, so that's concerning for them. Tiberi's 4th on 27 seconds. Poole, 30 seconds. Stora, 33. McNulty loses a couple of spots, 34. Vasek, 37. Simon Phillip, 39 seconds. And Carapaz, 39 seconds, rounds out the top 10. Caruso is in 11th on 41 seconds. He's moving. Tomorrow's stage, though, you alluded to, Benji. You said breakaway. It is indeed probably all the riders are thinking about Sunday, which is the Siena gravel stage, is in their nightmares for a lot of them. Tomorrow's 197 Ks, pretty long, and it's hilly. It's the start is not difficult, so the first 40, 50 Ks is not difficult. This is where you want tug buddies. There's a 13K 7% climb in the middle. Sassotetto, they do that in Tirreno one year.
Pause. For people that don't know, what is a tug buddy?
So it is like Dries de Bont today. So if you watch literally from the end of neutral today, Decathlon lined up with 2 riders at the front in break formation, and Dries de Bont jumped out of the group with Nicolas Prudhomme on his wheel because it was like a 3-4% gradient to give him the draft to like do a full effort to just create that separation without Prudhomme doing it himself in the wind. It just makes it more efficient for Prudhomme. The difference, you can also have one tomorrow where, give an example, I don't know, Marco Frigo wants to go on the breakaway, although he's kind of big himself. Let's go with Groupama FDJ. They want to get in the breakaway with Godou. They have Lorenzo Germani or Sven-Erik Bistrom or Kevin Genier to pull on the flat to try and get him in the break because he's like 57 kilos, and if he jumps on the flat, he's going to kill himself.
I've got my pick for tomorrow. Have we gone through the entire parkour, actually? Let's take a look at that, because you stopped at Sassotetto, which Luke has now looked up, and was a stage that, a climb that was in the 2023 Tirreno Adriatico, I'm pretty sure, as the final stage. But
they shortened it to 10 Ks.
Was the one that they reduced because of the wind conditions?
Yeah.
Anyway, the rest of the stage after Sassotetto is smaller climbs. Bit of a valley after that climb, 5.5K at 6.9%, followed by a is that a bonus second sprint, the last one, with about 20 kilometers to go on a small climb? The Castel Santa Maria?
There's looks like the Red Bull sprint is on the top of a 1400 meter 7% climb, so that's pretty nice.
But the break will take it.
If the break indeed goes all the way.
They will.
I think if Pedersen hadn't crashed, I would be like, why don't Trek just control for another win?
This stage looks a bit too hard to me, to the point that you might as well send Vácek in the breakaway.
He's too close on GC.
Well, Vácek is the kind of rider that I think teams will be okay with, because he's not the rider that should survive on paper the mountains in week 3. Should. Focus on should.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky because I'm looking for 70 kilo guys. 68.
Marco Frigo.
Yeah, Frigo, these type of guys. Frigo, Vine, Vácek is a great example. Luke Plapp. These sort of clients, like Mattia Catania, Lame Riser, Pietrobon.
Bardet after today?
Yeah, Bardet, although he's a bit lighter. Wout Poels can sprint.
Astana also shouts it.
Yeah, Astana have to be in. They have to. Prudhomme will go again. Crew from Ineos.
Frigo.
Brandon Rivera. Good stage finish for Brandon Rivera from the breakaway. Yeah,
I don't see it. I think he's going to stay on the peloton.
This is a classic Frigo stage. I'm going to go with Marco Brenner.
Not a bad pick, even though I haven't really seen him this Giro.
He's around. He's around.
He's waiting. He's waiting for tomorrow.
He's positioning. Oh, Luke said Bahrain. He said Bilbao. Or Zambanini in this break would be nasty with Bilbao.
Ooh, I like that. But talking about Bahrain, how are you feeling about the Caruso?
I couldn't be more relaxed. I'm telling you, Bahrain Giro, they're always good. Always. Yep. And if you think Caruso is just going to throw away his GC for Sniper, it's not going to happen.
Poor Sniper. By the way, got a bit of a question for you. Patrick, are you superstitious?
What do you mean? Like, outwardly, no. I would never admit it to anybody. I'd be like, I know I'm a hyper-rationalist. But inwardly, of course. Mate, when the plane from Albania, a bit of turbulence, Start doing Hail Marys. Just crank them out.
Bit of a story time from Tour de Hungary. The sprinter of UAE there, Juan Sebastian Molano, had number 13 given to him at the start of the race. He decided to switch it up and he was like, Rui Oliveira, please, take my number 13. I'm superstitious. Take my number 13.
Superstitious.
So Oliveira took number 13. He quickly swapped it. First stage starts. Rui Oliveira crashes over a water bottle in the feed zone.
Oh.
From that point onwards, he continues the race. Now, yesterday, Oliveira was involved in a major crash. The one that obviously happened in the race that crashed loads of riders, some riders with some serious circumstances. And while laying in the ditch, Oliveira forgot to report on the radio that he was in the ditch and that he was crashed. As a result, his team left him behind, drove straight past him. So he had to ride to either the start line or the finish line. He ended up first with the bike that was still functional, riding to the start line, then realized, okay, no one's here. Then he ended up riding all the way to the finish line where he arrived and no one had arrived yet and he had to wait until people arrived. So I feel like Rui Oliveira might be superstitious after this Tour de Hungary.
I think, yeah, he'll not want to wear 13 ever again. But
anyway,
yeah, Ivo
that
Oliveira,
was my story time.
Ivo Oliveira after this Tour de Hungary will have done 45 race days. And what's crazy is he's performing way better now than at the start of the year. He has done such good lead-outs for Milano. He's won in Abruzzo, Romandy. He was really, really good. So, Ivo Oliveira is having a really good season, actually. And as a lead-out, I've been really impressed, actually, him for Milano at Hungary. Today was uphill finish. Of course, won by, spoilers, Harold Martin Lopez cooked everybody.
Where can people watch a summary of that, my friend?
It's going to be on Lanterne Rouge YouTube channel in about an hour.
Ooh.
I also, as I said, Dunkirk, 4 days of Dunkirk. It's actually 5.5 days. It's been really, really good racing. It's like Aski and FDJ have a strong team. They're against Hagenez and Zangler, Lund Anderson for Picnic, Bettiol's doing weird shit. It's been, today was like carnage all day. Gotera, late flyer, won his first pro race. Tomorrow they go up Cassel, which is a really steep climb. GC battle should be really good.
I also watched Italia Women's, which is the women's Italia Basque Country. Basically, it's a 3-day stage race, and there's quite a bit of versatile sprint stages in there instead of actual mountain stage. The last stage is the GC stage, though, but stage 1 today actually had consequences for GC because at the end there was a sprint. So SD Works ended up winning after a lead out for Misha Bredewold, who ended up winning the sprint, but shit hit the fan with about 8 kilometers to go, where a rider lost balance in a corner. In doing so, Anna van der Breggen was crashed as a consequence, and it took a while before she got up. Maybe a minute 40 was the gap when she restarted, maybe 2 minutes even. She had teammates there in the likes of Michaela Harvey and another teammate, if I recall correctly. And then they ended up drafting behind the SD Works car for quite a bit of time, trying to come back to the peloton that was ahead. In doing so, they gained quite a bit of seconds. At the end, she loses only 43 seconds on the road, so she gained quite a bit from being behind the car. UCI then penalizes her and her teammates with a 20-second time penalty and some other penalties, so now she's on like a minute 14 or so in GC after this. But in hindsight, pretty good decision to use the car to draft, because at the end of the day, you gain more by drafting than you lose by the penalty for it.
Yeah, they closed so much. So, but to be honest, it was crazy to see that because she crashed so hard. I don't know if they did. Yeah. She looked like dazed. I wouldn't be surprised if she DNS's tomorrow morning. And to be honest, I don't see her being competitive with Demi anyway now. Like, you're not gonna, on this parkour, you're not taking that back against Vollering. So, a bit of a shame. Yeah, it's a shame for the race, shame for Van der Breggen. Hopefully she can get right for the, don't know if she's doing Burgos or Swiss coming up. That's all from around the traps. We'll have a lot of racing on this weekend, not just in the Giro. There's Hungary, Dunkirk, Italia, like Benji said, and then even some racing in Germany on Sunday. So I hope you enjoyed the recap, and we'll be back with what we think is a breakaway stage tomorrow.
Yes.
Where
Frigo
and Edward Zambanini will battle for the finish. Till then, ciao, ciao.